Hey everybody, it's Lagniappe Live. Good to for joining. My name is Eleanor Leger. I'm from Ciders in northern Vermont, and today you're going to meet our team and see a little bit of our orchard. For those of you who don't know, we got started in 2007, which seems lifetimes away at this point. At that point, there were 85 cideries in the U.S. Today, there are over 1,000. We started by making beautiful ice cider because we're super far north, and you'll hear more about that. And our most recent introduction is a canned cider. But what you're going to see today is not what you'll see at most cideries in the US. Most cideries, you would see a tanker truck pull up every couple of weeks full of juice from someplace with varieties that are probably left over from a grocery store. And you'd see tanks being turned every couple of weeks and stuff being recipeed out to taste the same, carbonated, and made much more like beer. What you're going to see from us today is going to feel like the winery great vineyard and wine presentations you've been getting from Lagniappe. We're going to take you to our orchard and talk to you about cider making like winemaking. And I want to introduce our team, Ben Applegate, who's our orchard manager, Garrett Huber, who's our head cider maker, and Alexandra's manning the camera. So I guess you're not going to see her. So I'll turn it over to them. Thanks so much, guys.
Welcome, you guys. My name is Ben, as Eleanor just said. We are here in northeastern Vermont, which is in the northeastern part of the United States. And I have a little map here kind of showing the East Coast and also the St. Lawrence River. We are more or less in this blue circle area. And to get a little closer perspective, if you look at the state of Vermont and outlined in red, we're up in the very northeast corner. It's a very mountainous place, very cold as well as humid, and we pretty good place for growing hardy apples. As Eleanor mentioned, we planted trees over a decade ago, about 1,000 trees and over 40 varieties, really experimenting with what apples might do well here. As Eleanor mentioned, we started off with ice cider, so we're really focused on sweet apples and acidic apples. And as we moved into other hard ciders, we started looking for more tannic apples. And so we're still in a evolving process of figuring out those varieties. And we have changed over some more of table fruit varieties to more classic cider varieties, both English and French bittersweets, but also looking for other interesting heirloom apples from within North America. Right now you can see that we're still at the end of pruning season. The buds are swelling but haven't started showing any green tip, but probably next week we will be there, at which point I'll start working into grafting mode for a week or two. Like I said, switching over some of those trees that we're not as interested in anymore into fruit that we're interested in trying. Our whole focus is trying to showcase apples in our cider, so really variety selection is really important to us. And Garrett will talk a little bit maybe more about that later, and working with some of our other apple partners. So we really are trying to showcase the interesting flavors in the apple. And so apples can, and in general, can be talked about on a scale from having sweetness to acidity and tannin. So you run the whole gamut of bitter sharps, bitter sweets, and sweet apples, and just pretty tannic apples. And so that blend of those different types of apples is what makes really interesting cider. I think that's about it from my perspective. We'll turn it over to Garrett here to talk a little bit about our ciders.
Hi guys, I'm Garrett. I'm cider maker at Eden. Thanks, Ben, for the great primer on apples. So we work with 7 local orchards. This being our most local orchard, which is our orchard, has been a real treat to work with. We've been converting over these more culinary fruit for ice cider to bittersweet and bitter sharp varieties. We originally got started making ice cider, which is akin to ice wine. The method we use, there's 2 different methods to make ice cider. There's cryoconcentration, which is pressing fresh apples and storing the juice outside when it's really cold and freezing that. And the second method is cryo extraction, which is akin more to ice wine, leaving the apples on the tree to freeze. We make a wide array of products. We had a kind of foray into champagne method ciders with bittersweet and bitter sharp apples. The thing about bittersweet and bitter sharp apples is they're super challenging to grow, but it's really rewarding when you can get those from your local producers. It adds a lot of tannin, those bittersweet and bitter sharp apples are tannic and add a lot of complexity, body, and aromatics to a cider. There's also sweets, which are high sugar. We have sweets that'll produce up to 20% sugar, 20 bricks. Sharps are another type of apple. The sharps we grow are Soap and Spitzenberg, Grimes Golden, Northern Spy, older American heirloom apples, and then there's bitter sharps and bitter sweets. Tannic talked about that. We also produce a canned cider, which I know is available through Lagniappe. We make it once a year. It is pumice fermented with bitter sharps and bitter sweets, and then we blend in a special sweetener, ice cider sweetener that we make especially for this can once a year. I think that's really it. So a little bit more of our esoteric small batch offerings. Benjamin, made from 15 varieties from this orchard, picked at peak ripeness, and then basically bottled right before fermentation stopped. So there's really nice. And then, which is a cryo extracted ice cider, actually picked from an orchard in Canada. It's just Golden Russet, Cortland, Empire, Macintosh, and Spartan. You get more of the peach nectarine flavors out of this one. I'll open this guy up. It's a little vibrant.
Cheers. Cheers. Cheers to everyone out there. Happy spring.
Okay, and